Welcome to Bloodbath & Beyond. Today we review The Telling. Everyone's dying to be a sister.
Directed by Harry Grigsby and Nicholas Carpenter, starring Holly Madison, and frankly too many people to name because this movie is an anthology. It's about three pledges trying to get into this sorority house.
You girls are going to have to tell a scary story.
The first story is about a couple living together. The man's ex-lover stays with them, and then he also finds a doll in the trash. The doll is possessed, I guess, and now all three women want this man so bad, but the doll is the one to try and take out the competition to keep him for herself.
Ooh. Oh, I think it's Tom. I think it's got the hots for you.
Story 2 is about an indie actress who's never been in a horror movie, and an undead director and his crew decide to bring her over and get her in a movie, and he likes to capture people's souls by filming them, killing them, and the only existence of their life exists on his movies. Kinda cool in saying it, but we'll talk about it. And story 3 is a group of friends that were trying to go to a horror movie. Unfortunately, they couldn't get tickets, so they stay home, they make some prank calls, they hear a murder over the phone, and then they are stalked by a serial killer. So what do we like? I like the intro to this movie because, you know, you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be like a cool party movie. It takes place at the Playboy Mansion, Holly Madison being one of Hugh Hefner's girls at the time, and they're just hanging out, it's party time, and a woman kills herself and blames it on the sorority. And it's kind of a cool setup for a slasher movie, if it was going to be a slasher film.
I like the idea that you have people telling ghost stories and they can like tie it all in and bring it all together. Because sometimes with anthologies, you get those ones where it's just like, here's story A, here's story B, and here's story C. But in this one, it brings it all together nicely. And it's not like the cast was bad, like everyone did a good job acting in the film, but there's a lot not to like about the stories too.
With a movie that takes place at the Playboy Mansion, you got hot babes. I saw one of my favorites from back in the day, G4 Tech TV, Sarah Jean Underwood. I think she's like a Playmate now and stuff. And Najera Townsend from Jill Six's The Stylist, which is a much better film than this. Production quality across the board was pretty good. I think it was well shot. Everything sounded pretty decent. And that's about what I have to like about it. So let's talk about our dislikes.
It really comes down to the pacing of this film. It is short, but God, was it dragged out. Like nothing of importance happened.
I know.
I want them all to myself.
And there's no climax, really. Like, yes, the doll does kill both the ladies, but not in fun ways. And it goes on for like half an hour. It's just so damn boring.
Then you get the second short, which is the shortest of all of them. It's also boring because it's a whole weird dream sequence and then everyone having dinner and it being revealed like, oh, we're all undead. Nothing actually happens, like nothing scary, no deaths, no nothing. It's very, very boring. Like the third one is probably the best one out of all of them, if I'm being honest.
But the second one did have some nudity, which is good. We have Christine Wynn. She's in a lot of stuff that we've reviewed, a lot of the B-movie stuff. She's like probably like the green fairy after the girl has some absinthe. Not only is it slow, but it also is completely desaturated, and it just does not help. It drags on because nothing happens, and it looks dull.
And we also had some of the worst actors in this one.
We make our films for people just like us.
The undead.
There was like a really awkward scene at the end when like the reveal happens, like, oh, we're all undead. As much as the doll one was boring, I actually think this was the worst one.
I would agree with that. And then the third one was probably the best one because it was more of like a slasher home invasion movie where you have three girls. They know that somebody's coming after them because I guess they didn't do the star 6-7 and block their number when they did the prank call. So the murderer on the other end of the call just found out who was doing the prank call and heard them and came to their house to kill them. So it's like a cool concept, and like the house was pretty good. Like they're moving around. There's a lot more action in this as well. Like we do get some kills.
And we did get nudity in this one too. One of the girls was changing while the cable guy was like creeping on her.
That guy was so weird. This creepy cable guy, oh my god.
This is funny. This is in the dislikes, but I still like that they tried to do the red herring effect with the cop when the girl was like, oh, I cut his hand. And then like you hear the cop busted in through the window and his hand's cut.
Damn that bitch's hand.
What happened?
I just broke in the bathroom window.
They tried so hard to like outsmart the audience when it came to their twists and their grand reveals. No one's gonna be fooled by this movie.
I think the big icing on the cake on that one. So we go through these shorts. The pledges, obviously these aren't scary. And so the sorority sisters are like, yeah, these are shit stories.
Was that even worthy of a shot?
You would almost think it's self-aware, but it's not. They even reference other bad movies and stuff, not realizing that they are one. Okay, so we had that intro where that one girl killed herself, and you know that one of these pledges is obviously the sister, and they all have brought some like baked goods or something to share with the sorority. The big reveal is, wait for it, one of them was the sister of the dead girl, and the cookies that they just ate had poison in them. You see it a mile away.
The dean wanted us to do something more official and formal this year after last year's unfortunate event.
You mean when you killed that girl?
In the garage.
The pool house.
Even when they tell you that's what happens.
I'm thinking it's more likely the poison.
She still like goes to walk out while they're dying of poisoning. Like they already know. She's like, oh wait, just in case you didn't get it.
I poisoned you.
I'm the sister. That has poison in it. And she just lays it out once again. And you're like, yeah, we fucking know.
You poisoned us? You're psychotic. Yeah.
Don't worry though, because we also got a flashback right after she explained it twice, just in case you didn't know that she was the sister and what happened at the beginning of the film.
And then it even has to show her meeting up with the mom as they leave the Playboy Mansion. And they're just like, ah, excellent. We've done the task.
Yeah, nobody suspected us.
I probably would have watched the third one if it was a full movie and they left the one house, because they're almost all one location movies. Everyone's in one singular house. But as a whole, it just felt like it went on forever. And it's not a long movie.
This is another one of those ones where the poster really makes it look cool. The synopsis makes it sound awesome.
The poster is just like hot babes in fire. That's it.
If we were scrolling through Tubi like we were.
And it was. I put it on my watch list on Tubi and I was like, hey, this looks appealing.
This is the clickbait.
I hope we convince somebody to click on this from our sexy thumbnail. I think that's all we need to really talk about.
There is one more crucial thing we need to talk about. The soft punk music that consistently played over as the soundtrack. You're trying to like build tension. You're trying to build suspense. Well, let's have a good Charlotte song on here about being alone.
You're not one of.
Why wouldn't it be like some classical like throwback music to when these people were alive and not undead? Like, do you think that that fucking table is going to like the My Chemical Romance reunion tour? Like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, like give us some knockoff Goblin. Like that's what we needed.
Let's go on to our final thoughts and ratings. It's pretty evident I did not really enjoy this movie. Like, I was totally down with the story, and I did like the rapper, and the production value was solid, but it's just boring. You can see the twist coming a mile away. The moment these three pledges walk in, you're like, she's the one. She's the sister of that one we just saw, because why would we have seen the intro scene? And once you know that, then it doesn't matter. And each of the shorts were just boring, except for the third one, which had a little bit of spice because they did try to have some extra red herrings, and it was more of a home invasion kind of movie. But at the end of the day, it's just not worth watching because you're not gonna watch a whole anthology movie for a 15-minute short. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna give this 1 sex doll out of 5.
Did I sleep like that?
As someone who is a fan of anthology movies, I can see the good in this film when you have a decent rapper that could tie everything in and the stories are well presented. The only issue I have is the stories aren't that good. Like, the concepts are great. I wish this film was what it sounded like in the description, but that wasn't the case. I was really bored because nothing was happening. In the doll one, it was literally a woman and a doll going back and forth from room to room, not really interacting with each other. Like, they didn't even try to do anything with the doll. The second one, again, was more of just a flashback sequence or a psychedelic trip, and it was poorly color graded, so I'm not visually engaged by it. The last one was like the decent one out of them. I'm not knocking any of like the actors or the writers or anything like that. I just didn't have a good time. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film half a baby bell out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything Bloodbath and beyond.